FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 and on W93.5 in and beyond. There's been mixed reactions as the Office of the President has with immediate effect suspended all post-retirement contract appointments for retired public servants and service staff. This directive was contained in a letter dated April 2, 2025 and signed by the Secretary to the President, Dr. Callistus Mahama. Judith Brown has the details of this in this report.
It was a move hinted of by President John Dramani Mahama in his 2024 campaign period. At the time, he explained such an action would create between 50 to 70,000 jobs every year in the public services and local government service. On April 2, 2025, the Office of the President issued a letter suspending all post-retirement contract appointments for retired public service staff. Labour expert Austin Gami says the directive is a laudable one.
To me, it's a very, very good news, a very laudable policy, regardless of who is paying it, is for the good of the state called Ghana. When you have people working for between 25, 35 to 40 years, and they have reached 60, according to our constitution, they have to go on retirement from the public service. Even private sector people do the same, not as pronounced as public sector. We have overly abused that arrangement by hiding behind people with experience, people with age, so that they can remain in the place of work. And it's not even extended to everybody with this selection.
And he's not alone. Some senior citizens say the move is a step in the right direction.
Now the young ones, they don't have job to do. So if I'm 60, instead of me to go and relax, then I'm still taking the position, what about the young one? The law says 60, go pension. So it's not that your strength, how healthy you are, blocking chance of the young ones. This has lead some of these young ones now, something are drug addicts. Because they don't have no work to do. So if I serve the nation for 60 years, I have to go home and relax.
It's good to go on pension after 60 years for the younger ones to also come and enjoy what they also enjoyed first before they go to that age.
While this action aims to streamline the public sector workforce and help reduce costs associated with hiring retired employees on contract basis, it will possibly affect persons who may have acquired significant experience over their period of service. For instance, the newly appointed IGP will have to retire by end of year following the directive.
Is there somebody qualified enough to fill that particular vacancy? If there isn't, then the extension for me is fair. You understand? Because some of this thing they do here is technical. It's quite technical. If you are not into the government or the civil service process, you don't know. You see, and if you don't allow yourself to be trained right from the very beginning to the time you get to the top, it's another level. If you forcefully push the old man away and you don't fill the vacancy, it's another thing.
And so the question remains, does this directive stifle years of experience gained by some retired staff? For Austin Gami, retired public sector workers can equally make good use of their expertise in many other ways.
The President was very conscious of the fact that the IGP was nearing retirement. There are people in line in the police service now who must equally become IGP tomorrow. I'm sure the present IGP, the national security apparatus, would quickly.
That's Judith Brown's report there. Weighing in on the matter is Labour consultant Senior Jabeng, who emphasized the importance of succession planning and the need for a dynamic, evolving public service system. He cautioned against stagnation and highlighted the critical role of building capacity among young professionals.
To tell you the truth, I mean, in the public services, the kind of training that public servants go through, by age 45, they should be well accustomed to the public services protocols and be experienced enough to be able to do a lot of the work that is required of them. And so between 45 years and 60 years, I believe that they would have paid their dues. Now, if we say that beyond 60 we'll still be losing experience, then it means that the system may be failing in a particular way without building up people through the employment conduit. You know, that the career conduit is such that people come in and people leave. And if you keep it stagnant, just like a river or water, then it begins to have issues. So it's very important that the system keeps moving, people come, people go, and then those who are taking over are being trained and gaining the experience. Otherwise, then we do ourselves a lot of harm, and at a point we'll find that we'll have skill gaps that would be lacking and affecting productivity. So I think that it's a good idea. These people can always be used as advisors, consultants, and a lot of other things that they can do to help, the country. So we need to make sure that we create space for our graduates to come into the system. We train them, and then they go through the system and pay their dues as well. In the future, if employment numbers get better, unemployment numbers get better, I think that we can revisit this conversation. And don't forget also about the what do they call it? The time, the standard time that we die in Ghana. We need to look at all those ones and be sure that we can have a holistic conversation and make sure that when we take the decision to take the retirement age to 65, then it will not create more problems for us than we have now.
So that's Senor Jabende, but let's get a bit more into this, because this is an issue that has generated conversation, rightly so. And Carbonu is the national president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT. He's joining us on the telephone right now. So Carbonu, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening.
It's always good to have you. First off, hearing this directive from the president and a leader of a critical association like NAGRAT, how did it get to you?
Well, I gather you are talking about the directive that there will be no extension for senior public servants.
Exactly so.
Right. Well, the statutory retirement age in Ghana is 60. So by law, when a public servant attains the age of 60, that public servant ought by law proceed on retirement. Over the years, we've had a lot of shenanigans, a lot of appeals, a lot of interventions, some from the seat of government to keep some public servants going for a few years. The law grants the president the right to extend a public servant's working years first by 2 years, another 2 years, and then 1 year. So cumulatively, the president has the right to extend a worker's working life for about 5 years. This is something that has generated a lot of controversy in the public service, because the issue is when you attain the senior rank and you do not go, you are preventing others below you from rising up in rank. So that opportunity that they rightly deserve is lost on them as a result of somebody or a group of people being kept. But the question ought to be asked, what will make a worker, or in this case, a senior public servant, not want to go on retirement when his or her time is due? It is because retirement package in this country is one of the most disorganized state activities that we have ever seen. In fact, for a lot of people, retirement is certain death. Because the man or woman is spent all his life or her life in public service. He has not invested in any business that brings him or her any return. Then when the man goes on pension, after 30 to 40 years service to the nation, there is absolutely nothing to write home about in relating to the benefit that he or she collects. So this is why certain people want to play around the scheme and ensure that they remain working for as long as possible. We have a pension scheme in this country that is one of the most disorganized and the most confused pension scheme if you find anywhere in the world. A head of state comes out with a pension scheme, a 3-tier pension scheme. Then that same head of state accepts demand from a section of workers that we don't think that we will be part of this pension scheme. Instead of those workers coming to be part of the pension scheme and making that pension scheme robust, fortified, and user-friendly, they put pressure on the government and they secede from that pension scheme. And the most painful is that political actors accede to some of these demands. So in Ghana, we now have a huge number of pensioners who don't contribute to any pension scheme but are at home and they are collecting monthly salary. And then we also have another group of pensioners who are those who contribute a part as an investment to their pension. So what type of country is this? So until we get our pension regime right, people will want to circumvent the situation and remain working for as long as possible.
A very important point that you raised there, and then as we decouple the two, because you raised two matters and asking that fundamental question that if the law says that after 60 you should go on retirement, I wanted to find out what specific law gives the power to the president to extend the working period beyond 60 years.
Well, I think that clause was introduced so as for people with special technical know-how that is not common in the industrial market to be retained in position. So that leeway is given to the president to keep those people. But I think that policy is outlived its usefulness in today's day and age, where we are having a lot of graduates hanging around looking for jobs. A high number of people have improved themselves in different fields of endeavor, and that special dispensation ought to be taken away from the president.
I see, but then again, so is that to say that the reasoning behind that law is also not relevant now, because there are those who make that so. Who make the argument that so. The reason why these extensions will be giving is that these persons, their skill set may not be that readily available, so extend it and then have them transfer their knowledge.
Yes, I think those days are gone in our country. We have improved to a very large extent, and it will be very difficult for me to accept that there is any field of endeavor in this country where we're looking for people and then we cannot get those people to serve in those fields. I have a difficulty to accept that.
See. How about other persons within the labor fraternity who are asking for more or extensive consultation prior to the rollout of this post-retirement directive?
Well, I will not chide them and I will not say they are wrong. But if the law says you should retire at 60 and the president wants to implement that law to the letter, what is anybody's problem? We've had a lot of agitation in the public service where people are kept in offices beyond retirement, and it raised hue and cry. You know, for me, from where I sit, I don't think there is an issue to worry about. We just have to implement what the law says and implement it to the letter.
I do appreciate your time, Mr. Carbonu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And John Carbonu is the national president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT. Well, the